Hey everyone, let's travel back in time to the amazing city of Thebes in ancient Egypt. This city was one of the most important and influential cities in ancient times, known for its grandeur and its role as a religious and cultural hub. Imagine towering temples and huge tombs. That's Thebes. The city was filled with magnificent structures that showcase the architectural brilliance of ancient Egypt. The Luxor Temple, for instance, is a testament to the city's splendor. This is where Pinudjem I became a really important guy, the high priest of Amun. Pinudjem I wasn't just any high priest, he played a crucial role in the religious and political landscape of Thebes. Now Amun was like the king of all the gods, so his priests were super important too. The priests of Amun held immense power and influence, often rivaling that of the pharaohs themselves. They ran all the temple staff, the big festivals, and told everyone what the gods wanted. These festivals were grand events that brought the community together and reinforced the divine authority of the priests. Pinudjem wasn't just any priest. He was a key figure in maintaining the religious and political stability of Thebes during a tumultuous period. He lived during a tricky time in Egypt, the 21st dynasty. This era was marked by political fragmentation and internal strife, making Pinudjem's role even more significant. Think of it like a puzzle that's been broken up. Egypt wasn't one whole kingdom anymore. The country was divided, with different regions vying for power and control. The pharaohs, the kings, had a tough time keeping everything together. Their authority was constantly challenged, and they struggled to maintain unity and order. Thebes, with all its riches and important temples, became like its own boss town. It was a center of power and wealth, often acting independently from the central authority. As high priest, Pinudjem controlled tons of land and treasure. His influence extended beyond religious matters as he managed vast estates and resources. He was in charge of a whole team of priests, writers and artists who kept the temples running. These individuals were essential in preserving the cultural and religious heritage of Thebes. He was a big deal, way beyond just the temple. Pinudjem's legacy is a testament to his significant role in shaping the history and culture of ancient Thebes. So, Pinudjem was running things in Thebes. He was a high priest who had a lot of influence and power. Thebes was a significant city, known for its grand temples and rich history. It was a place where religion and politics were deeply intertwined, and Pinudjem was at the center of it all. But guess what? There was another group of kings, the Tanite pharaohs, ruling from a city called Tanis. Tanis was located in the Nile Delta, and was also a powerful city. The Tanite pharaohs had their own ambitions and wanted to assert their dominance over Egypt. They were not content with just ruling from Tanis. They wanted to control the entire country. It was a bit like two kids wanting to be captain of the same team. Both Thebes and Tanis had their own leaders who wanted to be recognized as the true rulers of Egypt. This rivalry created a lot of tension and competition between the two cities. Each side wanted to prove that they were the rightful leaders. The pharaohs were supposed to be in charge of all of Egypt, but the priests in Thebes had a lot of power too. The priests controlled the religious ceremonies and had the support of the people. They were seen as the intermediaries between the gods and the people, which gave them a significant amount of influence. The Tanite pharaohs needed the priests in Thebes to say they were chosen by the gods, so they had to be nice. They couldn't just take over by force. They needed the legitimacy that the priests could provide. This meant that the Tanite pharaohs had to negotiate and sometimes even compromise with the priests in Thebes. It was like a seesaw, with both sides trying to get on top. The balance of power was constantly shifting, and neither side could afford to let their guard down. The Tanite pharaohs and the priests in Thebes were in a constant struggle for control, each trying to outmaneuver the other. Things were tense. The pharaohs wanted control over the rich temples, but the priests wanted to stay independent. The temples were not just religious centers, they were also economic powerhouses. Whoever controlled the temples controlled a significant portion of Egypt's wealth. This fight was going to cause big problems for Pinudjem and all of Egypt. The rivalry between Thebes and Tanis was more than just a political struggle. It was a battle for the soul of the nation. The outcome of this conflict would shape the future of Egypt for generations to come. Pinudjem was already the top dog in Thebes, but then he did something really bold. He said, "I'm Pharaoh now." But he didn't kick out the other pharaoh. So there were two pharaohs at the same time. Talk about confusing. This showed everyone how ambitious Pinudjem was. Now he was in charge of everything in Thebes, the religion and the government. He controlled all the temple treasures and said he was the rightful ruler of Upper Egypt. But it wasn't just about being powerful. Egypt was a mess. Pinudjem probably thought he could fix things and make Egypt strong again by uniting Upper Egypt under his rule. Pinudjem's rise to power was a family business. His ascent wasn't just about his own ambitions, it was deeply rooted in the legacy of his ancestors and the strategic alliances he formed. His ancestor Herihor, another high priest, had also called himself pharaoh years before. This set a precedent, showing that religious leaders could also claim the throne. This made people in Thebes think Pinudjem had a right to be pharaoh too. The city's residents saw him as a legitimate ruler, partly because of his family's history, and partly because of his own actions. He also made smart moves by marrying off his daughters to powerful families. These marriages were more than just personal unions. They were political strategies designed to strengthen his position. It was like making a deal with other important people. By aligning himself with influential families, he ensured that he had a network of support that extended beyond his immediate circle. One of his daughters even married the Tanite pharaoh. This was a significant alliance, as it linked him to another powerful ruling family. This created a link between both ruling families. Such connections were crucial in maintaining and expanding his influence. Family was super important in ancient Egypt. It wasn't just about blood relations. It was about forming alliances that could help secure and maintain power. By making these family connections, Pinudjem built a strong base of support. His alliances ensured that he had loyal followers who would back him in times of need. He wasn't just relying on the priests. He had powerful families backing him up. This combination of religious authority and familial alliances made his position almost unassailable. Pinudjem wasn't just a politician. He cared about history too. He started a huge project to fix up the tombs of old pharaohs that had been robbed or broken. This wasn't just about being nice. By taking care of his ancestors' tombs and their mummies, Pinudjem showed everyone he respected tradition and that he was a true pharaoh. One of the most famous reburials was Ramesses II, a super famous pharaoh. Pinudjem moved his mummy to a secret spot to keep it safe. This made Pinudjem look like a really good ruler who cared about the past. Pinudjem wasn't known for making new art, but he did support artists. He paid for new temples, statues, and carvings. He liked the old traditional styles, showing he wanted to bring back the glory days of Egypt. Religion stayed pretty much the same, with Amun still the most important god. Pinudjem probably used his power to make sure the Amun priests stayed on top. He built new temples and made old ones bigger, which gave people jobs and helped Thebes become richer. Pinudjem's time as pharaoh wasn't about big changes, but it was a time of peace and quiet, where tradition was important. Pinudjem's reign showed just how powerful the priests had become in Thebes. He was both high priest and pharaoh, proving the priests were even more important than the kings. This changed everything in Egypt. The priests, with all their money and power, were now the most important people in Thebes. This affected everyone because the temples and the people who ran them were part of everyday life. The priests being so powerful also changed art and religion. Temples became bigger and fancier, and the priests probably made Amun seem even more important. After ruling for over 20 years, Pinudjem died, leaving Thebes rich and powerful. He was really good at politics, made his family important, and kept Egypt steady during tough times. He wasn't a famous warrior or inventor, but he was smart, respected tradition, and kept things running smoothly. Because of him, high priests wanting to be pharaoh became a thing for years to come. The priests stayed powerful in Thebes for a long time, shaping Egypt's future. Pinudjem's story shows how important religion and tradition were in ancient Egypt, and how one person could change a whole country. Please subscribe to our channel for more fascinating historical content.